To start off overhand serving, we're starting with a basic tossing drill to make sure that Nathaniel gets the proper height. The goal is to not throw the ball way too high where you lose track of where the ball's going, nor to throw it too low so that you're contacting the ball with a bent arm and it will not get high enough to get over the net. The point is to contact the ball right about there, where your arm is completely straight and at its highest point, so that you can get the most power behind it. Now I gave Nathaniel the ball and gave him the opportunity to practice. The first thing to correct was that his arm was bent and way too low. After he corrected it, he tossed the ball a couple times to get the rhythm of everything. I decided to assure him that a point to aim for is right above his fingertips so that he has some time for the ball to slightly drop and that he can contact the ball at a proper angle. He also decided to take steps forward so that he could get kind of the motion that comes along with serving the volleyball. For the next drill, we moved against the wall. This allows Nathaniel to get the opportunity to hit the ball, and the focus of this drill is to contact the ball properly. As I demonstrate to him, I serve the ball down to the floor because this drill is focused more on the contacting of the ball with some sort of power rather than the point on the floor in which it contacts. During an actual serve, there will never be a point where you would want to serve to the floor. But this drill is focused more on the specific contacting. So I have him serving it so that the ball will bounce and just return back to him for simple convenience. I watched Nathaniel do the drill a couple times himself to see how he takes my explanations. The first thing that I noticed, though, is that Nathaniel isn't in completely proper server stance. As you can see, his feet are facing sideways and his body isn't angled forward. To demonstrate, I got next to him and showed that his feet need to be facing forward. The purpose of having his feet facing forward and his body perfectly squared is to assist with his ability to aim and control the ball. When his body was sideways, the ball was starting to move sideways and not completely forward. But when this relates to a more serious game-like situation, it'll be really important for him to get the ball completely forward. And so him properly squaring his body will be an extremely important asset to him doing this. After a couple more tries, Nathaniel begins to get the concept of the proper stance. He also starts to feel where the ball is supposed to be contacting his hand so that he can get enough power behind it. For this next drill, I have Nathaniel hitting the ball so that rather than it bouncing before hitting the wall, it hits directly against the wall. The main goal is for him to stop the point of contact high so that he can really focus on getting the ball at an angle that will make it over the net. I ask for him to emphasize this for each hit so that he can have it built into his muscle memory that to keep the ball high enough and maintain the angle that he wants as a new overhand server, he needs to emphasize how high he contacts it. Breaking posture, the way Nathaniel did right there, can be detrimental to any server, no matter their skill level. I try to remind him that for this drill especially, I want him to emphasize holding his arm high and maintaining a high and centered posture, so that the ball, instead of bouncing, goes straight to the wall. After multiple tries, Nathaniel still wasn't completely understanding the idea of holding his posture. This was probably due to the idea that the more he swung through, the more power he had. But with practice, he began to build it into his memory, especially with the drill, that he needed to hold his hand up. And I attempted to remain positive with him at all times. In this specific attempt, his posture not only broke, but he contacted the ball very low on his hand. So the ball went directly to the corner of the wall and rolled back to him. While everything was wrong, I think this was the attempt that allowed him to recognize the things that he needed to adjust the most within doing the drill and getting the proper serve. For this last drill, I decided to put together all the different aspects that we were working on from the other drills, which involves having a centered stance, steady posture, and properly contacting the ball. We also added distance so that Nathaniel could work on controlling his power and directing the ball to me specifically. Throughout the drill, it was going well, but we saw in this specific hit that the ball contacted Nathaniel's hand at the side of his hand, which brings that he needs to focus on his hand and the placement, not just simply his body movements. Because although the ball can be going consistent at moments, it may stray different ways depending on the toss, and it is the server's responsibility to direct themselves properly so that the ball doesn't get out of control and goes where it needs to. Because in specific game situations, it is possible to have to direct the ball to specific positions on the opposing team's court to gain points. Nathaniel and I continued hitting the ball back and forth, and slowly you could see him gain his comfort with the stance, contacting the ball, and also making sure that it was properly making the angles necessary so that it didn't go straight to the floor. Overall, with more practice, I believe Nathaniel could get overhand serving down to a T.